Hey booktube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and it's time for the weekly update. It is almost March. It will be March as of tomorrow, but today, as I'm filming, it is the 29th. Okay, so let's talk about what I read this week. Okay, so first, let's go ahead and get the whole DNF out of the way. So I decided to DNF this book, A Journey in Moscow by Amor Towles. I did enjoy Rules of Civility. It wasn't my all-time favorite book, but I liked it. I ended up getting rid of it. But I decided, I saw this there, and I was like, yeah, let me read it. And I'm kind of been intrigued by Russian literature lately, especially because I've been enjoying the writing style of Dostoevsky and Tolstoy. Although I've only read one book and finished it. And then I started reading War and Peace. I still have not. I'm still behind on the War and Peace read along. I've not finished part 2. And then as of tomorrow, we're supposed to start part 2. So I have not finished part 1. Although I'm very close. I mean, I could potentially, if I chose to read it today. So I'm on part 3. So. And the chapters oftentimes are really short, so I could potentially catch up by today. But anyway, so I decided to read this, and it's beautifully written, and the characters are very interesting. I really like the main character, but it just was too slow for me, and not a lot happened in this book. It's basically about this Count Alexander Rostov. I don't know the Russian pronunciation. He has been exiled to Moscow in the Metropole Hotel for political crimes, and it's about his life there. He's there for 30 years, from 1922 to, does it say? It doesn't say how long he's there. I think someone said that it was 30 years. And not a lot happens. I mean, he interacts with some interesting people, with old friends who show up at the hotel to visit. He has the last part I read was his relation. He had a sexual relationship with this actress, and she does not for some reason does not like the idea of him picking up her clothes and stuff, because he does that to be polite, and he's like, oh, and she kind of pitches a hissy fit and is like, I can throw my clothes where I want. And it's probably a psychological thing. Like, I don't, maybe for her, him picking up her clothes is a sign for, oh, now we're in a relationship. This is my life. You are not part of my life. We just had some fun together, but that does not mean you control my life. And I think guys aren't the only one who can be afraid of commitment. Like, sometimes women want independence, and then when they get married, it's like all of a sudden, you're no longer, there's always that fear of becoming just a housewife, I think, for a lot of women, or at least that's how it's portrayed in fiction. But and he does meet this cute little girl, and from the description on the front flap, he's gonna meet her daughter and kind of raise her while the girl goes and finds her husband. And I also got that from reading reviews on Goodreads. I don't know if you consider that a spoiler. Maybe you would consider it a spoiler. And she's a very precocious little girl. But, when you're a little kid, you think you know everything, and you think you understand things. And I really like how he responds to her. He's not condescending towards her. He doesn't, tell her, you're just a kid, you don't know any better, you're stupid or something. He treats her like an equal, like an adult. He talks to her, when she makes these silly little arguments about, although some of her arguments weren't that bad. Her argument, I don't remember what she said exactly, but her argument on why she doesn't need to go to school and why she doesn't want to. And he did try to convince her and persuade her, school's not a bad thing and you should go. But he also didn't push it. He knows he was losing a battle, and the girl would not listen to him, although I'm sure her dad forces her to go. But, and I love the relationship they develop. They explore the hotel, and he very much respects her. And like I said, he treats her like an equal. So there are some positive to the book. It's just a very slow moving book. Other than that kind of stuff, again, not a lot happens. It's just like his life in the hotel, his observations about the world around him. This is the era when the Bolsheviks take over Russia, and I don't know anything about them. I felt bad because my mom noticed I was reading this book, and I told her what it is about, and she asked if I know anything about the Bolsheviks, and I was like, no, not really. I just know they have taken over Russia, and that's it. And I'm guessing the Russians don't like them. And I was like, you might want to ask Dad, as in my dad, about them, because I don't know anything about them. My dad is history, geography, all that kind of stuff. He knows about a lot of that stuff. So he's my go-to for historical facts and stuff. But like I said, it's beautifully written. It's just a very slow, and it's a book about this guy, and I need something more fast-paced. I need to know that there's a goal that our main character is trying to get to. And he doesn't know if he's ever going to leave the hotel, if he's ever going to get out of the situation. I mean, maybe there does become a goal by the end of the book, towards the end of the book, a goal that he's going to escape, or at least be free one day. But that's one of those goals that you don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, come on, the fact that even with Lord of the Rings, which it clearly had a goal, the characters had a goal, but even that one, every time I've attempted to read it, I have not progressed. I've only gotten as far as, I think, the chapter Shortcut to Mushrooms. Although, my ongoing theory about that is because I've seen the movies, so it's like I'm used to the movies. But, as you guys know, I did listen to the ebook, so now I've at least listened to the words by Tolkien. But anyway, so I bring that up because it's like, if I can't get through that book, then I definitely cannot get through this one. I felt bad because it's not a bad book. Okay. I knew that was gonna happen. I was hoping to get this done before, but then I kept messing up and having to start over with filming this video. But anyway, I can't, it just was too, like, it didn't hold my attention too much. Which brings me to the book I decided to read, and that I ended up finishing, which was, The Death of Miss Westaway by Ruth Ware, and oh my god, I'm getting interrupted again. My dog wants to come into my room. Of course he does. Okay. Actually, it was not him, it was her. It was Sophie, actually, that wants to come in. But, anyway. So, The Death of Miss Westaway by Ruth Ware. This is my second Ruth Ware book. Still have not read The Lion Game. Now, my intention is to read The Lion Game in March. But, either I'll wait until the end of the month, or I might just read it in April. I don't know, because my fear is if I read too much of Ruth Ware, then it's gonna be too much, and I'm gonna, get bored with her, and it's gonna feel formulaic. Although, so far, it does not feel that way. I mean, there is one similar... Okay! There is one... Okay, I will. There is one similar thing to her stories I've noticed, or at least in these first two books, the whole mention of our main character being an alcoholic. Although, technically, at the point in the story, our main character has decided to walk away from drinking alcohol because she realizes it's bad for her. It's gonna get her into trouble. So at that point, I think she has quit drinking. And I get it, maybe because when you're depressed and stuff, and it's a coping mechanism. But for me personally, I don't like alcohol that much. It doesn't taste that good. I mean, I guess when you start drinking and you get into the habit of it, then you can't help it, and somehow you get past the sour taste. But, I mean, I mean, I do like some alcohol. Like, I like the more fruity stuff, like sangria, Moscato, non-lime margarita flavor. There's the mudslide was okay. Although the mudslide was kind of weird. That was really like kind of the first drink I ever had. I think it was okay. It was kind of like it was. I didn't like the mixture of chocolate and alcohol. I didn't like it. So actually, it was not okay. It was actually. But anyway, getting off topic here. So I definitely like this better than The Woman in Cabin 10, which as soon as I started reading it, and the cover definitely showed that, yeah, this is more my kind of story mystery than. Get up here, come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, no, you cannot be standing on this. Come on. I mean, ideally, I don't want you standing on any of my books, but that was a library book. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay, well, you come up when you're ready. Okay, where was I? All right, so I like this one better than Woman in Cabin 10. It was a very much more engaging story. It's about this woman, Harriet. Hal is her nickname. And she's down on her luck financially. She could barely pay her bills. Her mom died in a car accident, so it's just her. She's a tarot card reader, so it's not a job that pays very well. And she gets the attention. She has to ask for a loan from a loan shark, and his assistant or whatever shows up to warn her, basically threatening her. But then, as luck would have it, she receives a mysterious letter from a lawyer who says that her grandmother, this rich older lady, has just passed away, and she's on the will to inherit a fortune from this woman. But the thing is, Hal knows that something's not right. It's a mistake because her grandparents died 20 years ago. So but she is so desperate for money that she decides, I'm gonna go and check this out and play the part of the doting, meek granddaughter. But when she gets there, she realizes that she is getting more than she had expected, which is not only is she thought she was just going to get all the money, but actually she is inheriting the estate. And which is not what she had in mind. And it makes her feel guilty, but she is desperate, of course, for some money, for the money to pay everything off. And she also gets very attached to the family. Her uncles, her uncles and aunt, who treat her very, like, on the one hand, the oldest brother does not want to give up the money he needs. He believes they should get the money. And so it's a very awkward situation between her and her uncles. I should say, quote unquote, uncles, because and not only that, but her experience here mixed up with this very dysfunctional, messed up family because they do not have a great relationship with their mother. She also finds more secrets about her life and realizes she gets more questions than answers. She finds out that there's something with her mom, her actual mother, and the missing daughter of this family, Maud. And there's also the question of who is her biological father. So it's just a very dark, very atmospheric story. And even though it's set in modern times, it still has an old world feel. And it reminds me a lot of something Kate Morton would write. She's also a mystery author. But her stories aren't as fast-paced as these. They're a little more slow-moving. Not as slow as Count A Gentleman in Moscow, but still very, very slow moving, but beautifully written mysteries. This one, of course, there's nothing super special about Ruth Ware's writing. It's like, but she is very fast-paced. I mean, unlike Woman in Cabin 10, it took me a minute to get into it. But it's still very much a page turner. I had to keep going because I had a lot of the same questions that Hal had. I want to know who her father is, what the deal with her mother is. Who is her mother, really? And it's funny because there is a character called Miss Warren, and she's kind of a caretaker housekeeper, and she's very old and a little creepy. And I was thinking, as I was reading her part, she reminded me so much of Miss Danvers from Rebecca. That same kind of devoted to the woman who died, and she's like, how dare you, and how dare you treat this woman and have ill thoughts about her. But then, so while I was reading it, I was thinking that, and then the next page, and the other character talking to the army, talking to Hal, saying, oh, she's kind of like Miss Danvers. It's like, oh my god, seriously, that's exactly what I was thinking. You know, and it's just so funny that, of course, what I'm thinking, a character actually says out loud what that is, that this character is a lot like Miss Danvers from that other book. And it does kind of have similar, and it has a similar setting, like this old creepy ass that's, you know, been around for years. I come to like those kinds of stories with the mysterious house with the dark past and dark secrets, like with the family and stuff, and with the house itself. And I did have my theories about certain aspects of certain answers to some of the questions that Hal was asking. I had my theories about it, and I was kind of right. I wasn't 100% sure, but when I got there, you know, I ended up being right actually. But it was still a pleasant, well, not pleasant, but heart-stopping experience reading. I mean, maybe that's a bit dramatic, but it still was a very exciting climax. Even though I had my suspicions and theories about who was going to be the answer to that one question of Hal's. But it's definitely one of those stories you don't know who to trust, who's someone that, who can Hal trust, who's a good guy and who's a bad guy. But it's also, of course, you know, it's a modern novel, so, you know, the modern novels, authors have realized things are not black and white. There are shades of gray. Not every character is innocent or wicked, you know. Every character has their complicated and messiness about them. So I enjoyed this book. Now, I'm no expert, and it's only like one of the few thrillers I've read. I have read, I think, books, as I said before, I think I have read books that would be considered thrillers. But I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not much of an expert on what's considered a good thriller or not. I liked it. But like I said, there was on Goodreads the question section where people can ask questions, and after they've read it and someone said something that kind of annoyed me, they were like, "There's so many plot holes, you know. People with common sense shouldn't read this book," and it's like, okay, so you're saying I don't have any common sense because I read the book, enjoyed it? Which I'm sure they didn't mean it like that, although it does come off that way. But it kind of annoyed me, and maybe there are a lot of plot holes that I'm not smart enough to realize. I'm not clever enough to figure that out. See, that's why I don't mind. I have mixed of opinions on rant videos because it's like I admit I still watch them, especially if it's a book that I really hate or I don't care about. Like, I love watching the rant reviews of 50 Shades of Grey because I don't understand the appeal of that book. I mean, of course, people could, you know, you haven't read it, so how do you know it's a bad book? But you know what? I don't want to read a book about that kind of relationship. I mean, I know there is romance in there, but it is a romance, I think. But their sexual relationship doesn't appeal to me. But anyway, okay, let me put this down since we're kind of going off topic. But yeah, it's fun, you know. I mean, I will watch rant videos because I find those very amusing. So I will watch that kind of stuff. But I do gotta admit, sometimes, yeah, I get a little annoyed by certain people's. If it's something that if it's something that I love and enjoy, then yeah, I'm not gonna be as interested. I'm not gonna appreciate it as much. Now, And if that makes me a hypocrite, I think I'm not the only one. You can say what you want, but you know what? I guarantee you I'm not the only person out there who who likes the rant videos, but then when it's something that they like, they don't like it so much. I mean, if I'm the only one, fine, I admit I'm the only one. But I don't think I am. I think there are other people out there that feel the same way I do, where they like them, but if something that they like, they're not so keen on it. But that's when you don't watch it. But it was one of these things where, in the case of that comment, I was passing through and looking at reviews and stuff, looking at what other people thought. I chose to look at it. So I guess I can't really, I didn't have to look at it. I admit that I didn't have to. But anyway, yeah, so those were really most of my focus. But as you saw in my little, I can't remember what it's called, that thing that people do where they kind of do a still shot that is the first thing you see when you look at someone's video before you play it. I did show some of these other books, like The Night Circus. I started reading that one again because I was feeling guilty that I had not reread it. I intended to reread it. So I've read this before, so I know the plot. We've established that the two magicians have made their deal, they're set up their game, and and we're gonna pin these two people, and they've done this before, and it's resulted in death, I believe, if I remember correctly. My lips are so chapped right now. I so need to put on some chapstick. Good news, I don't think you guys can tell. Although they do look really white in the camera. Maybe you guys can tell. But anyway, and they're talking about one of the guys. He goes by the name Prospero, but I believe his real name is Hector. And he is the one who's kind of setting it all up, and he's set up he says, I've got an interesting place for the venue for where we can do this. But I just love the writing in this. It's so easy to get lost in the writing and the descriptions of everything. And I remember the first time I read it, just falling in love with the story and really it giving me a good, warm, fuzzy feeling as I read it. And I always get warm, fuzzy feelings, especially if it's historical fiction and it's writing it's good writing. I do know that for a lot of people it feels like very much insta love, the main couple. But you know what? If the plot is enjoyable, then you know what? It doesn't bother me as much if it's insta love. And it didn't bother me the first time I read it, and reading it, I don't think it's gonna bother me again. Because for me, it's more about the whole circus and there are things that I'll probably wish were done differently, but I'm still gonna enjoy this. And I want to read this first before I start that other one that she just published. I can't think of what it's called right now. So I read a little bit last night. Like I said, they've established that the competition that they're setting up and he's gonna go find, and he's the one guy, the gray man has found his student, his apprentice, that he's gonna pin against the girl. And the next part, I think, is gonna be, we're gonna be once again back with Cecilia and Hector, and he's gonna be teaching her. And this is another book I need to get back and read a little bit more today. And definitely today, because of course I'm going to work tomorrow, and then I do believe I'm off on Monday. Or, no, maybe that's not, no, I think that's next week. Yeah, next week, because I was a little surprised. I'm asking for some time off, starting on the 10th for like a little over a week, maybe a week, I don't know, I have to double check on that. And apparently they're gonna give me I'm also getting the Sunday and Monday before the 10th off. So I was kind of surprised. I mean, I'm not going to say anything to my bosses how weird I find that, because then they'll be like, oh, well, do you want to work? And in all honesty, yes, I'm a good worker, and I know it's important to work, and I'm not a lazy person, but even I gotta, I'm not gonna be like, okay, I'll go to work, I'll work. I mean, I did that in the beginning, but now that I've been in this job for a couple years, I'm not doing that. I'm not, unless they call me. And even then, sometimes I tell little white lies and be like, I can't, come in. Although I don't know if I should really say that on here. But it's too late, because I think I've already said it once before. But I definitely need to read a little bit more of this, because when I bring it to work, I only get through like a page or two, unless my dad drops me off like super early. Like 30 minutes early, then I might get a little bit more read. So I definitely need to read this now. And this is probably, while I'm off, that week that I'm off, I'm probably going to focus on this. But anyway, and then I'm still trying to read the 5th season. The writing style is a little off. I keep hearing, I don't want to give up on this one, though. I want to keep trying, because I have heard other people's reviews saying it took them a while to get into it, but once they started, it was good. I don't want this to be a DNF. I want to keep going with it. Keep trying. It's just really hard to get into. Like, the writing style kind of throws me off, and I'm a little confused about what's going on, because N.K. Jemisin does throw you into the story. She doesn't really coddle you or hold your hand. She just throws you in there. So I don't know if, but I want to keep trying. I don't want to give up yet. I don't want this to be a DNF. So I'm going to read a little bit more of this and try to read and try to finally get into it. I'm still in, I don't know if I said this in my videos where the videos I started for this one and then had to stop filming. But I am still behind. I'm a little behind in War and Peace, so this is one I definitely need to read more of. And I could potentially get it done today. I have a chance to get it done today because, these sections so far the chapters are very short. And I think I only have one more section left in part 1. And then, so I'm looking through it now. Chapter 9. Chapter 11. 16. Oh, 16. Okay. So this is volume 2. Oh, no! Oh god, that's the second time that has happened. Crap, of course it did. Okay, here, chapter 4. Oh, I'll just figure that out later. I hate it when that's what I like about the magnetic bookmarks. 18 is that they stay. They don't fall out. Like the regular bookmarks. 19. Okay, so there's 19 chapters in this first volume. Okay, so let me find out where I left off on. Okay, the good news, I can see it even with the screen of the camera when the screen I'm looking at. Okay, so 235. I'm on page 235. Close. Okay. Oh, alright, yeah, so 4. Chapter 4. But it's annoying because, bookmarks don't, as soon as you open the book, unless you hold it in there, the bookmark will fall out. But I'm on chapter 4 of part 3 in volume 1 of War and Peace. I don't know if the war stopped yet or not in this. But I do know we were back with Prince, with his name? We were back with Prince Vasily and where is he? I can't remember the guy's name, the young man's name, but wait, maybe it's on that. But Prince Vasily's trying to get the one dude that he's kind of taken out on as a ward, so to speak, to marry his daughter. He realizes that they're never gonna love each other, but you know he's gonna end up with her anyway because he is in love with her, but it's not gonna be a good marriage. And we're also with Princess Maria. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. She's apparently self-esteem issues, I think. Sorry, it has been a week or a few days since I've read it, so I need to get back into it. I just get, with those kinds of books, there's so much going on, and, you know, you have to read quite a lot of pages for there to be a lot, to progress in the story. Because, like, of course, it has a lot of descriptions about the characters' feelings and what's going on, their thoughts and stuff like that, and describing things and all that. It's, like, a lot of that. That's why there's so many pages. Those classic books like Count of Monte Cristo and War and Peace are so big. Because there's so much description about their feelings, the characters' feelings, and their opinions, and their thoughts and memories, and descriptions of what things look like. It's a lot. So that's why those books are so thick. And, okay, so next, out of my library books, I'm probably going to start The Cabin at the End of the World. This is April from Jenny Hugowitz's favorite author, one of her favorite authors, and she's talked about this book quite a bit. And from what I know, without having read it yet, from what she has talked about, is that it opens up with this little girl is playing outside. She's staying with her dad's at this cabin in the woods, and these guys show up and start talking to her, and then they tell her, whatever happens next, it's not your fault. And then I don't know what is going to happen. And I don't know, this is a thriller, post-apocalyptic kind of story. As I said last time, Stephen King and Carolyn Kepnes, author of You, blurbed it. But as I said, I'm kind of blurbs. I have like very mixed feelings on blurbs because on the one hand, if it just has blurbs on, it's like I want to know what it's about. I don't care about the blurbs. I don't care who loved the book. But then I will still look at the blurbs once I've done it. I will notice the blurbs after I've read what it's about, and I do think, oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, an author that I likes it. So unfortunately, I'm no better than everyone else. And then I'm gonna do it. Oh, well, let me show it this way so you can see what the title is. So I'm doing it. I got it from the library, The Odyssey. Although I realized when I picked it up, as soon as I got home and looking at the book and stuff on Goodreads and just trying to figure out what people say about it, I realized that I should have got the Iliad first instead of this one. But as I'm thinking about going to the bookstore today, of course I have to let the dogs out first so there's no accidents in the house. I'm going to let them out, and then I'm going to go to the bookstore, and I'm going to see if these are there. These two books, the Iliad and the Odyssey, and I might buy them. And if they're small copies, then although if I see them there, they might be the nice copies. They might not be the small ones. They might be the fancy ones, and then those will be a little bit more expensive. Not as expensive as like a Books A Million or Barnes & Noble price, but still very costly. So, but I don't know though. I might want to just start reading the library copy of the Odyssey first, before I spend the money, before I spend $5 on a book that I'm gonna end up not being able to read because it's just too much. But yeah, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it out. I mean, and at least looking at the translation, this translated edition, at least it doesn't look like it's as hard to read as, it looks like it's written like a regular novel. So it's not as hard to read as like Beowulf or Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, which, speaking of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, I'm wondering if the Green Knight, that movie that I keep seeing, I came across on YouTube, if that's based on the poem, the epic poem, if that has any connection to that. Because there's not a lot of stories called the Green Knight. I mean, unless it's something that they made up. But I can't help but put two and two together and think, oh, maybe this is to do with the epic poem or something. So I've been meaning to look that up. I haven't yet, but I need to look that up to double check, and see if that's the case. But anyway, in fact, I might do that now while I let the dogs out. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna read this one. First, I'm gonna read Cabin at the End of the World. I think I'm gonna try to get that done. I want to get that done before. I want to get that done soon, and then I will not have to worry about the Odyssey. And I just only have to worry about reading that one. Although, if I get that one done, what I might do is go ahead and check out the Iliad. Which I really hope there's someone that's interested in that book all of a sudden getting that one from the library, because I know that's going to take me a long time if I get into it. But I have another thought actually about it. I was looking at it, and for some reason, my ignore the dog. He just sees someone walking by, just to bark at everybody. A dog being a dog. But for some reason, my friend Christina from back in high school, for some reason, I associate her with, like, she's the one who kind of introduced me to the Middle Earth and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. And for some reason, I keep thinking that she read the Odyssey. I, like, associate that with her for some reason. So I don't know if she has read it or not. I mean, to me, I haven't read it yet, so I don't know, but to me, that is if she has read it, that would be very impressive, if she's read it. But, I mean, maybe she hasn't. But for some reason, I just keep associating her with that. And I also feel like she's the type of person who would study ancient literature, and I don't know if she would read it or not, but for some reason, I could see her being that type of person. It has been a long time, though, so I don't know. I could be totally wrong here, and she might have changed over the years, but I haven't seen her for years. I do have her on Instagram, and I've seen her pictures on there, but I mean, it's not like I hang out with her. The last I heard, she was in another state. So, but like I said, for some reason I associate with the idea that she's read the Odyssey. Okay, so I am done rambling and chatting with you guys for the day. Sorry again about the dog, but I'm gonna try to go to the bookstore today. Although I'm very concerned about that. There is a neighbor that I mentioned in one of my last videos that for some reason she saw me and decided to talk to me and was all like talking about her life and her problems and everything. Is like, I don't want to be mean or rude, but it's like I really don't care. In all honesty, and now she's like, oh, if you see me, will you walk with me? Ask me to walk with you so I'll get my daily walk in and exercise. Like, I don't want to be responsible for that. My walks to the library or the bookstore are my private time for me. It's where I think about things and talk. And, I mean, yes, I go for runs and I'm in my room most of the day by myself, but still, I like getting out, taking my walks, and I think about stuff. I don't want to spend that time with some random person that I barely know that decided, let's be friends. Even though we're, like, not the same age at all. Although, when you become an adult, she probably I don't even know if she thinks I'm an adult. She might think I'm, like, a teenager or something. which really annoys me. Because one of the other things that bugs me about that is that people, yeah, it's okay, I look really young, I should be so grateful for that, but it's kind of hard to be grateful when you feel like people are talking down to you and talking to you like you're a child and be like, oh, when you get older, you'll understand. See, that's the problem. That's my issue, is that people will talk down to me, and you can say, oh, just ignore them. But it's not, when people say that, I don't think they realize or consider the fact that it's not easy to ignore someone. You can, especially if they keep whispering in your ear, twittering in your ear, or you keep getting that kind of response. It's not the easiest thing to ignore. If you can ignore it, that's very admirable. If you're able to ignore it and not have a reaction, then that's awesome if you can do that. But that, to me, is not an easy thing to do, to just ignore something. Unless you just no longer care anymore, and I clearly do care. I don't like when people talk down to me. It bothers me. Or when people try to mother me, then that bugs me too. I don't want to be mothered. I don't want to be babied. I don't want to be coddled. Like, that's why I don't like crying in front of because I'm a sensitive person. I have gotten upset and cried and stuff when I'm freaking out about something, but I don't like showing that, because then people are going to feel like, oh, are you okay? And which is sweet and all, but it's also like, okay, I'm not a baby. I don't want you to coddle me. I don't want you to encourage me. Be like, it's okay to cry, honey. I don't want that. I don't want someone to baby me and make it look like it's okay for me to act like a child. Well, anyway, so sorry, got off topic again, but anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Now, if you don't mind going off on that tangent, it's just, like I said, I'm walking to the bookstore, but that might risk me bumping into that lady again, and I just don't want to talk to her. That may sound rude and mean, but you know what? It's how I feel. I'm not going to change my mind. But anyway, so if you guys like this video, stupid hair, be sure to give a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell notification below if you want to know when I post videos, which is very sporadic. And I hope you're enjoying your reading, and I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!